Hi there, this is Dr. Everybody. We're going to take a look at Project 4. Now what Project 4 does is it does some transactions, and we start with a file, and the file has an account number and the balance and a name. And these, by the way, are all lined up nicely. We specify how many characters are in each one, so when we look at this file, when we want to get stuff out of it, we're going to want to use slicing because it's all nicely lined up for us. And what we do is we read this line in we read this file in one line at a time, and we take a look at somebody's account. So here we got Charlotte McGregor, and then we go through a series of commands like, all right, I'm going to withdraw $1,000. I'm going to withdraw $550. I'm going to deposit $200. And then there's another command, A, to advance to the next account. So what we have is we're going to loop to read through this file and going through one account at a time. And then on any account, we're going to have a whole series of actions that we're going to take on that account. So we're going to have, and we don't know how many of these actions that we're going to take. So we're going to go through, we're going to iterate through the file, something in the file, and within that, we're going to take a look at somebody's account, and then we're going to loop for an unknown amount of time, and we'll do a bunch of D's and W's and A's and so on. So we have a loop within a loop in this, and we do some other things, but let's start with that. And the final piece of this is that when we're all done, we have to now recreate this file with the updated information. So so the account balances are now up to date. So we're going to look at these pieces, and the pieces that we're going to look at are we're going to read a file. Then we're going to extract some information out of the file. Then we're going to write a file. And then we're asked to do some functions. So we'll take a look at a function. So let's dive in and take a look. First of all, let's look at this thing actually running. So we have a file. I called mine test. And I actually extracted out the information. I printed to verify it just as a test, so I can see what's going on. I'm going to have to remove that later. So let's so here we got Charlotte McGregor has got $43,000 in there. Let's make a deposit. All right, so we get this command. All right, how much am I going to deposit? Well, let's deposit $1,500, and that gets deposited. Well, let's make another deposit. We'll deposit $500. And let's see, let's make a withdrawal. We'll withdraw $100. All right, so overall I should have $1,900 in there. Right? And then now I'm done with Charlotte. Let's move on. Let's advance to the next person. And you can see I've put out my balance. And if you look at the numbers there, you can see that things have changed by about $1,800. And now we're on to the next account. Now, I'm printing out some more information than we need here, but I'm still developing this program. And now this one, I can do something like, well, if I do an A, I'll just skip them and go on to the next one. And so now we're to George Lucas, and I can withdraw $5 from George Lucas, and now he's got one. Well, how about we withdraw that penny that's in there? Right, and then the other option we have is that we can close an account. Well, that should be empty. Oh, we can't close it because there's some money left in it. Well, the problem is we have some round off here, and this thing, it probably thinks we still have some money in there. Okay, so what else can we do? Well, we can keep advancing through people, and we eventually reach the end. All right, so let's take a look at some of the things I might do here. So how about reading the file? Now you got to remember we give you a test file to start with. You have to make sure that's in the same directory as your program, which I have done here. And so to read a file, we have to open it. And I called mine test.new old.text, and I'm going to read it. And for every line in the file, so file is a collection of lines. We know how to iterate through things like that. I'll print the line. And you can see there's all the information that's in the file. Now, the next thing that I did is I tried to extract out the individual pieces of information. There's an account number, there's an amount, and so on. And I'm not going to show that to you. I'll leave that for you, but I'll show you in fact what it did is I went through and I even though it looks almost like the same information, you can see that it's it's lined up a little differently. So I have actually extracted out the account number and the balance and the name and then printed them. So now I know that, hey, I can read the file, I can assign the values to some variables and print them out. And that, in fact, was the next thing I did. Now, at some point, you're going to have to write the file. So let's go back to this original one that I had here. And that file was open for reading. Let's open up a new one. We'll call it dummy, and we'll write it. Okay? And now each time when I print the line at the same time, I'm going to write that same line to my file. And it's very important to close the file I wrote to, and so while we're doing that, it's less important to close the one we read, because the Python will close that for us. But for writing, it won't get, some of your information may get lost. So let's try that. Now, it doesn't really look much different. I've just printed each line, but I now have created a file called dummy. And dummy I can't read. That was a dumb thing to do. So let me try this again. Let's make it a dummy.text, and I'm going to actually get rid of that dummy file. The naming is helpful, because that's what tells the operating system what program to use to read it. So we have a dummy.text and knows how to read it. Let's blow that up a little bit. And there's all the information that's in. So I've basically recreated the file. But I now know that I can open a file, I can print stuff from it, and I can write. And that's so I mean, I've got to do a lot of playing around here, but I've got the basics of it here. I haven't done any of the error checking. I'll leave that for you guys to do. We've got examples and from the lab, and I haven't extracted anything, but I've got the basics of the new stuff in there. All right, so the final piece that I want to take a look at is that we ask you to do some functions. And I think what I'll do is I'll actually write one of those functions. So let me bring up another window here. And let's take the first one. And the first one says, so we have def get number one line. Now one line, in fact, could be that's any name there. We are asking you to use get number for a name. And what are we supposed to do? So I've got one line, and I want to extract out the account number. Well, the account number is the first few digits in there, right? I mean, it was specified. I don't remember exactly how many. We can look that up. But let's suppose it's the first 7 digits. and we can slice those out and return them. Now, one of the neat things about Python is I can just try this out in my file here. So somewhere up here, I already have a string which I created, which is one line of the file. And now let me move this out of the way. We can try our function out because it's been loaded in there into the shell. And so I can say get number, and I can send it my my string, and my string doesn't have to have the same name as one line. It just better be a string. And what gets returned but the account number. Now there's a little bit of a problem there. There's a space at the end, so my slicing isn't quite right, but you get the idea. So there is a function. So we've taken a look at many of the pieces. There's still a lot in there for you to do, but hopefully that'll give you some ideas to start with.